We're gonna call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to ask your blessing on our community and all of our residents. We ask you for good health and prosperity throughout the United States. Please protect our employees as they perform their duties. And we thank you for all of our militaries, both past and present. And please give us the clear vision as we continue through this year of 2022. In Jesus' name, amen.
Got everybody here, so go through the minutes.
There is a correction on the minutes, page 3 of 4, almost towards the bottom under fourth item.
Oh, I think I see.
It said for the voting, the last one of voting, it says that I voted no to come back from executive session. I voted yes on that. There was no votes on that from executive session.
I'll check, but I thought I put yes down, but when I listened to it, it said no.
Okay.
But I'll look.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that I seen.
Okay, thank you.
Another suggestion, please, a little further up the page under third item, the fourth line under that. It says discussion regarding home rule statute. It's not statute, it's
Oh,
statute.
no, it's statute.
And the next line down, Yoder noted that he property, I think it meant to be the.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would have been. I can't see it right now, but I'm writing it to the side. Got it.
Need a motion for the minutes as correct.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Walter,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Abstain.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Bill,
Motion.
Second.
Walter,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
workers' time report. Question. All right, fireman's time.
Motion.
Second.
Walter,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Okay, clerk treasurer report.
I have nothing except to read you the legislation. We have the third reading of ordinance number 2208. It's an ordinance authorizing the sale of the real estate owned by the Village of Beach City but no longer needed for any municipal purpose.
What property is this?
The one up by the farm. Two acres.
On the third reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just pursuant to last meeting, I did prepare another ordinance after reading the case and doing additional research. So if anybody wants to see that one, I have it with me.
Is that the same?
It's selling the same piece of property, but this one would be done by auction.
Oh, that one, I can, when you first hit me on that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to discuss it during
Okay.
my time or
That's fine.
whatever.
No,
works.
that's fine. Do we need a motion on ordinance 2209?
2208.
2208, I'm sorry.
But this will put it up for bid,
Well,
and this one will put it up for auction.
So this will solicit bids in accordance with 72103. This one will allow for an auction, but it's drafted in compliance with the state XRL Zylonka v. Carroll, the 1921 case that I referenced last time. The wrinkle to that was in Carroll, the Ohio Supreme Court specifically found that because they advertised the sale, the auction, for 5 consecutive weeks in a newspaper of general circulation, that it had substantially complied with the statute. So I know there's some discussion about the expense of publication. If you're advertising for bids, you will not be able to get around, I mean, if we go off of this case, they still advertise the auction for 5 consecutive weeks. You still have to advertise it for bid. And then, I didn't know the auctioneer or how that would be determined, so I put in there that the legislative authority or its designee would solicit from 3 auctioneers proposals to carry forward with the sale, because I didn't know if there was just one name that you wanted to use, or I think maybe in good government you'd get bids or proposals from multiple parties that might want to do the auction. And then also, as I said during the last meeting, the case had held that the municipal corporation cannot abrogate their duty to conduct the sale, so you couldn't pay anybody for it. There's nothing on point with that's specific to whether or not them taking a commission from the sale constitutes payment. I mean, my view of it would be that's consideration for the sale, that's the contractual consideration, that's the payment, but I drafted it towards what was discussed at the last meeting, and I have copies for everybody if they want to see them. Good enough? And I also, if you look at the 8th recital, the 8th whereas, it's the last full one on the first page. The Ohio Attorney General in 1969, as I think I mentioned at last meeting, explicitly said that sale of real property must be accomplished as required by 721.03, unless we're home rule. And to my knowledge, I've never seen a charter, so I do not believe that we're a home rule municipality. I think we're statutory.
I think we are staying.
If we are at home rule, then we have bigger problems. We've never done anything pursuant to a charter in my time.
Anyway, I need either a motion or.
Motion.
I'll need a second. This is for 2209.
No. 2208.
2208.
This is a sealed bid.
Yeah, this is a sealed bid.
Oh, this is the sealed bid.
This is the sealed bid.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll second that, I'm sorry.
So that has to take place before
What has to take place?
the sealed bid ordinance?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think the Supreme Court 101 years ago was taking what a municipality did and saying it was substantial compliance with the statute. 48 years later, the Ohio Attorney General was clear that 721.03 is the proper way to sell real estate. So what I tried to do is, given the fact that council had directed me to draft an ordinance, is follow along with the case from the Supreme Court as closely as possible, so that if we had to make an argument, we'd have a defensible position to say we're just doing what the Supreme Court told us, albeit a century ago. But it would have to be advertised for 5 consecutive weeks in a newspaper of general circulation if we're doing what the Ohio Supreme Court said was sufficient.
Do you feel that that would be sufficient? I mean, if we do go to auction?
My personal opinion is, as I said last meeting, I can't find where a village has recently done an auction for real property owned by a municipal corporation where the village is statutory and not home rule. 723.03 specifies how you sell real estate as a municipal corporation. My direction was to draft the ordinance in a way that we could accomplish an auction, and that's what I've tried to do. If you're asking my opinion what the safest route is, it's 721.03 because the statute is clear on how you go about selling real estate.
Would that be the sealed bid one?
That would be sealed bids, 5 consecutive weeks.
Huh. Any more discussion? Okay, Deb, roll on.
A motion by Schott, a second by Hartman. Walter,
Yep.
Bennett,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
And then the last thing I have is ordinance number 2209, an ordinance to increase the 2022 appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the fund account of the Village of Beach City, Ohio. The account is for D5 Fire. It is in regards to the FEMA grant funding that they received for $49,826.67. Your third reading.
Make a motion.
Second.
Walter,
Yep.
Bennett,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have any visitors here, John?
No.
I only got 2 things. I want to congratulate Dustin King. He's our new EMT. He passed everything. So we got Corey and Dustin now, so that helps. Also, on the 27th of April, I'll be attending the Beach City Dover Dams Emergency Exercise. It's a thing they're having down there, the Army Corps is having it down in Dover. I figured I'd go and figure out what are they gonna do with our dam, because things in such bad shape. I don't even know if that, I may not be discussing that part, but I figured I'd be there, at least I could talk to somebody that I think.
What day is that? The
It'll be on
27th?
the Wednesday, yeah, next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday at noon. You'll be in Detroit.
And, is this question?
All right, so, Fire Chief, Mr. Chief Anderson.
Might want to let Guy go first, but
No,
I'll
go
I'll
ahead.
take the heat. You
Go
guys
ahead.
will love me after today. So, report of calls, year-to-date, so far, we've run 81 calls. As of the same date in 2021, we ran 86. Our mutual aid summaries as follows. We received mutual aid from Brewster Fire Department 1 time, received mutual aid from Wilmot 1 time, Erie Valley 1 time, Strasburg 1 time, Mount Eaton 1 time. Give mutual aid to Brewster 2 times and give mutual aid to Dundee 1 time. The reason for so many departments and so many mutual aids is we had a structure fire in the township. Obviously, with that being said, we needed tankers. It was during the day, we needed manpower. Hence why you see departments we normally don't call, Mount Eaton, Strasburg, Dundee. They were all out there and we appreciate their help. I did get an attaboy from the insurance company. He said they did a heck of a knockdown. I was not out there, I was at work. And really minimize damage and minimize fire spread. He was super happy with the job they did and ultimately saved the property. I mean, granted, it's got damage, but it's gonna be saved and gonna be remodeled, so. Kudos to everybody that was out there, including our guys that made it out there, so. I also was gonna bring up congratulating both Corey and Dustin, both have passed, they're both EMTs now, they're both functioning, both have actually, just the other day, ran their first squad call together, believe it or not, so, did really well. Both I think are gonna be great assets to our community, and I'm glad they both made it through, so. I did pull the data, as requested from a safety committee meeting. That's what you have in front of you. What that data breaks down is times during the day that we've received calls versus, it's broken into 12-hour period, a 3A to 3P, a 3P to 3A, and then also a time frame if we would stipend and get that far from our 6A to 4P. What that shows us is how many calls we had during that time, how many calls we've turned over during that time, and if we were stipend and accrue, how many calls we would have not turned over and ran with our squad. Again, I'm not very far into this. We're going to meet again with a safety committee meeting to discuss things further before we come back to council. I just want to make you aware of what's there and what you're looking at. So now here comes the hard part. So I always get teased when I'm not here. I never ask for money. So there's a reason for that. When I'm asking for money, I want to be here to answer questions as to why I need this money. So unfortunately, when I miss a week or 2 weeks, and I come over the next week and I got a list a mile long, it's not because I'm ganging up on you, it's just because this is stuff I need to proceed. So the first thing I'm going to ask for is I need engine 131, tanker 133, and rescue 138 all have to go to Advantech. That is for their biannual service. We do it every other year. Now, the pumps get tested every year, but they only get serviced every other. This year is unfortunately a service year that is costly when you're talking big trucks. I do know the last time the 3 went down in 2020, the total cost on all the service on that was $5,751.69. That was 2 years ago. I'm sure prices have not gone down. If anything, they've obviously gone up. So I'm guessing on what I'm going to need, and that's why on Debbie's copy and also John's it says unknown cost. But I would like permission to get that rolling. Advantech would like a heads up before we schedule. We could be a month out, I don't know. But this gives them the chance to bring in all the oil filters, all the air filters. That way everything's there. It's hopefully a one-day in and out thing. We swap the truck, we take the next one down. And what they try to do is get everything scheduled in a week block for Beach City. 132 has already went because it had emergency repairs. That's the other engine we got from Mary Valley. So it is done. Everything emergency-wise is repaired on it. It's back in service. It's pump tested. It's good to go. So I'm asking for that. I'm also due on my JAWS service, which would be Howe Rescue. The last time we did the JAWS service was in 2020 also. It was $1,146. Again, I'm sure that price is not going down. If anything, it's went up. So like I said, again, that's an unknown cost. So them are the unknowns I'm asking for. Stuff I do need that I know for sure a price on. We had a battery go bad on one of our portable radios. It was actually my portable radio. Staley's quote us a price of $152.25. That is a direct quote. I know I need that for sure. And also, we talked last meeting briefly about our I Am Responding app. That app trial is up as of May 2nd. So tonight, I need a decision on how you want to proceed with I Am Responding. And there's some different routes, but my suggestion is let's go the middle route. So if we do it on a yearly basis, it's $800 a year. You can do it on a 3-year subscription, paid annually at $725 a year. Now there's a one-time $50 setup fee and a $10 a year phone fee. I don't quite understand the phone fee, I get the setup fee. The other option is you can go a 5-year subscription, paid annually at $650 a year. I am asking to go with the 3-year subscription. Let's cut it in the middle. Let's do the $725 annually, so the actual cost on the I Am Responding for this year would be $785. That's the setup fee, and that is the $10 extra. And then after this year, it will go down to the $725 a year. And that is a definite cost. So total money I'm asking for sure is $937.25. That's the battery, that's the IAR app. If you wanted to get technical, I would say give me another $8,000 and I can probably do the JAWS on all the trucks. But again, I'm guessing. I mean, we could go down there could be bad valves I don't know about. There could be, so I hate to give a number, but that would be my ballpark. Probably $8,000 to get the JAWS and the 3 big truck service. And if that's the case, I'm asking, I guess, for $8,937.25. That was a lot. Sorry, it's just time.
Is this the correct
Is there a way that that can be scheduled so that they're not all done at once?
We could, the reason we do them all at once is because convenience, because they, like I said, they reserve the bay for us for all week. We take a truck down, we drop it, then we know when we bring the next truck down, we're bringing that truck home. The only thing I would be worried about taking both trucks out at one time would be the engines. Obviously, we don't want to go without a fire engine. But other than that, I mean, we could do it however we want it. It's more of a convenience for us.
Okay, I was only trying to spread the costs instead of having it all be, you know,
And we could do
one
that,
big cost.
and the other thing we could do is we could fully service 2 a year, do 2 this year, 2 next year. What we did is we used to do this every year, and it was very costly. Some of these trucks don't get 200 hours on them in a year's time, you know what I mean? So we're wasting our money by servicing them every year, but they gotta be, state requires pump tested every year, they have to be. So what we did is every other year, we went to a full top to bottom service rather than doing it every year. And we've saved substantially, obviously, I mean, at $10,000 a year, we're saving quite a bit of money a year, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm good either way. I mean, personally, this is the easiest way for me to do it, but that's up to you guys.
Are you sure the 8,000 is gonna be enough? Are you including like a price raise at all, or?
8,000 would be over what we paid last time, but that's not figuring if we have valves, and we almost always have valves, no offense, but our water ain't the super easiest on our fire trucks as it is not on anything. I mean, line builds up and that stuff just totally tears our trucks apart, unfortunately, but I mean, that's why I said it's a big unknown. Until we get down there, he'll call me and say, hey, look, this is what we got, and generally I call him and say, fix it, because if you don't, it's out of service anyway. So without a pump test, technically it can't be run as a pump, so, I mean, whatever.
So if we were okay the 8,000, that would be plenty for you at this point?
Yes, as far as maintenance goes, if it would go way over that, and I would need to come back, I definitely would. Usually, we're within a few thousand. I mean, a valve's usually $150, and then some labor. I mean, usually we're within a few thousand. I mean, I tell you all the time what I think, and then it bites me, and it comes back twice the price, and then you think I lied to you, and that's not the case. It's just,
Well, no, the way things are right now, everything's a shock.
I'll be honest, the only truck over there that I knew had repairs was 32. It had to go, it wouldn't start. I don't know of any repairs that need done to any of the other trucks, which is, knock on wood, phenomenal, because usually by now we've got a list of stuff that needs done. I don't know of anything extra that needs done other than the maintenance and the pump test, but they could run into anything when they get down there, so.
I'll make a motion for the 5-year subscription to,
3 years.
oh, you want
Three year, yes.
The 3-year subscription to the IM responding, the radio, battery, and the $8,000 for your truck,
That would
check
include
outs.
our jaws too.
Yeah,
That would
and
include
check.
both. That would,
Yes.
the only thing left maintenance wise after that is hose test, and that's scheduled in June, and that's the Fire Cat. And that's a set price of like 35 cents a foot. It usually comes in at like $1,800. And they'll do our ladders the same time too. So that will be all that's left of the inspections pending. There's no breakdowns after that, so.
I will second that motion.
Walter?
Yes?
Bennett?
Yes.
Hartman?
Yes.
Schott?
yes.
Porter?
Yes.
And Yoder?
Yes.
So would you guys like me to do things differently? Are we okay to continue? I mean, the money's there. I'm sure the money's there. I mean, it's totally up to you guys. It's more of a convenience on us trying to find a guy, because this place is in Midvale. So I mean, it's a little clip down there in them trucks. It takes 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes to get home, you know. That's just why we do it in 1 week. We try to get guys set up, and we knock it out in a week's time, so. But I'll do however you guys would like it done. I'm fine either way.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
I don't see any reason to change what you're doing. I was just asking to try and spread the cost
Spread.
over more.
Right. I mean, we've never run
Instead of
into,
having it all in one year.
financially,
nice
we've
to
never
have
run
two
into any
years.
issues. Am I wrong in saying that? I mean, as far as service, we've never run into any issues before with going super far over. I mean, we've always fallen pretty close to what we're quoted, so, yeah, we should be fine. And I mean, it may be a little higher, but if it is, then, yeah. So, that's all I got then. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys, I bombard you all the time.
Well, Chief Guy, you set you up pretty good there, boy.
Well, I don't need any money tonight, guys, so we should be good. Right? What we do have though is we're having an issue with Red Center. A couple weeks ago, there was a meeting where they pretty much said after 45 days, we may not be able to cover dispatchers on our midnight shifts. This is from my understanding of how that meeting went. We had a meeting on Friday where they discussed how they told everyone to go get quotes from other dispatchers, the other dispatch centers to cover our dispatch. To say the least, I'm not very impressed with how things are being handled with Red Center right now. I don't feel this is professional or the way it should be handled. So in preparation for them not being able to potentially cover dispatch, they supposedly are having 3 more dispatchers quit. They've got a game plan to try to fix it and make it work. However, of course, when you tell all your departments to go get quotes, that it kind of makes me nervous. That is my lifeline for my officers. As well as whenever my officers are on traffic stops and it takes them 30 seconds to maybe not even responding to my officers, that's another big issue I have. We pay them good money for dispatching. Again, they have a game plan to try to fix this, and I'm hoping they get it fixed. However, myself and a few other departments are ready to jump ship. And if these other 2 departments do jump ship, I'm probably going to go with them because they are my main mutual aid. And I do not want to go from, say, one dispatch center contacting another dispatch center, patching our radios together for my officer to communicate with that other department. So at this point, I'm not making any moves. I'm just putting you guys kind of up to speed with what's going on. I've been monitoring it very closely. There's been an email chain going back and forth with several of the police chiefs. Been paying attention to what Logic is doing and looking at our contract, as well as I've informed Stephen of the issues as well that we're having. So I don't want to jump ship yet, but I also don't want to get that 30-day notice that, hey, you have 30 days to go find new dispatchers. I am looking at options for new dispatchers, seeing if they can handle us. I also don't want to overwhelm any of our other dispatch centers by taking on a bunch of agencies at once, because Red Center can no longer handle us. So there's potential for some issues. I have options, we're working through it. I just don't want to blindside you if something happens. There's a chance nothing will change, but they have a plan in place to fix the issues they're having at Red Center. So that's what I'm hoping for, but if my other 2 agencies that I closely mutual aid with decide that they're moving, I'm probably gonna have to go with them, because just for officer safety, we're gonna have to look at the other options.
Do we know when the other 2 places are gonna be discussing this?
We've all been in discussion right now.
Okay.
The one is, the one the chief is out on medical, so we're kind of waiting to see what they're doing. And if the other 2 decide that they have to go, then I'm probably gonna follow. My biggest fear is that I'm gonna get the notice that you have 30 days to find a new dispatcher, and we're not gonna be ready. So I'm hoping they get things fixed and figured out, but don't be surprised if I come to you guys at a council meeting and say, hey, we need to look at this. They've given me my 30-day notice that we need to find new dispatchers.
So to piggyback on what he's telling you, obviously the same issue exists with the fire department. And we're in the same boat. We run an all-call mutual aid on any structure fire. I cannot have an all-call mutual aid agreement set up. Brewster dispatching through CENTCOM, Beach City dispatching through Red Center, Wilmot dispatching through whoever. If they go, we go. If they call me tomorrow and say CENTCOM it is, then CENTCOM it is. That's the only choice. It's the only safe way for our members as well as his. I'm not as particular if police go and fire does not. Obviously, he's got to follow his mutual aid. I've got to follow mine. So we're in the same boat. I didn't bring it up because we don't know where we're at either. We're in total limbo. Red Center could tell us tomorrow they're good. They could tell us tomorrow you got 30 days. We don't know. So we want to be prepared. And the fire chiefs have met numerous times also discussing the same issues. So we're in the same boat he's in, just so you're aware.
So I'm not happy with how it's being handled right now. I don't feel it's being handled properly. I hope they get things fixed, and I don't want to bad talk any other agency or organization in an open council meeting, but all I can hope for is that, I know Red Center has a plan to fix it, and I hope that comes through and they can fix the issues. If not, if my other two departments have to go, then I'm gonna have to follow. I'm the little guy, and I'm gonna have to follow where they go, because on the same channel with my department, their guys are listening to my calls, knowing if something's happening, they need to get over here, they're on their way over. I can't do that with a different dispatch, and I can't take those precious seconds of, let me patch you through to your other dispatch center. I also will not continue to operate where my guys are waiting 30 seconds for my dispatch to get a hold of them on a traffic stop, as well as minimum to no checkups. Like, my officer can work an entire 8-hour shift, and that's concerning. So we're definitely gonna have to work through these issues, or we will be looking for another dispatcher. So that's my point on it. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up there. Other than that, I don't have anything. Everything else is going good.
All right, well,
Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Village Administrator, Mr. Spivey.
Okay. I'm still waiting on a price from Toma for the SCADA, for the wastewater side. I think I explained that to you guys last time. A lot of it's already there on the computer. We just need to get the screens built, and I'm waiting for a price for that. I met with a gentleman from RCAP last week, and we had a lengthy discussion about grant funding and the process that you go through to get grants. It's a pretty lengthy process, and I'm going to ask council to schedule a utilities committee meeting. We have a couple items to discuss on that, and I'd also like to discuss our contingency plan and a capital improvement plan in reference to the wastewater and water departments from the EPA. Quite a bit of things to discuss with you guys about that. We had our flow meters in Wilmot that we were able to borrow from Ohio Rural Water, and we learned a lot from that. We don't have any real concrete, this is where the problem is yet, but he had to take them and use them in a different community. But he's also ordered 2 more that will be left with me for a couple months. So I will be able to utilize them for a length of time and move them around to different manholes over there and get a pretty good study of what is happening when it rains over there. And I should learn a lot. I've got the computer program on my computer that gives you graphs and correlates all that information into different ways to look at it. So it's a lot of good stuff, and I'm going to get, like I said, 2 more coming that will be ours for a couple months. We are going to have an EPA inspection this week at the wastewater plant because our NPDES permit is up for renewal. That needs to be renewed by August. So they're going to come in and do a inspection at the plant to let us know if we're in compliance or not, and I'm hoping that goes well. Brandon Unklesby has accepted the position of Assistant Street Superintendent, and he will be starting on Monday the 25th. If you guys want to meet him, I can have him come to the next council meeting, if you'd like. He seems like a bright young man, and I think everyone likes him so far, and I'm kind of happy that he said yes. And the mayor had already alluded to a couple things. The Dover Dam emergency exercise, that is not just for the mayor. That actually, anybody can go to that. Any public official is welcome to come to that and learn what to do if in case there is a break or a breach in the dam, or if there's a regional flood that would affect us in our utilities, actually. Our water, wastewater, electric, it could affect if it was bad enough. So I think it's a good exercise, and I'm going to have a lot of our guys going to this, some of our employees that could be affected by that. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it, but I know if the mayor's there, he'll take plenty of notes for me. Also, I gave you guys I think I gave it to everyone, the RCAP free training for water and sewer systems. There's a virtual workshop there at the top, special evening event on April 20th from 6:30 to 8:45. It has to do with you guys and the utilities. It's a workshop, gives you some valuable information on what your jobs are as councilmen, committee members, and I thought it was a good thing for us to learn something. I'm going to attend that myself. Also, I met with the gentleman from Verkada, which is the camera system that Chief had found, and he really likes. I really like it. We got a test camera given to us to try out and play with, and it's kind of exciting to be able to play with that. I do have a quote from them. The gentleman and I went around to the police station, we looked here at Village Hall, and we also went down to the park, the pavilion. And he has given me some maps of a layout. I don't agree with his maps. I think there's some better ways we could do this for what we want to see. But if anyone would like to sit down and talk about this, I'd be more than glad to show this to you. The quote he gave me was for, I think it is for 10 cameras. So there'd be 2 here at Village Hall. He's got 3 at the police station, which I think we can get away with 2 there. And he's got, let's see, there's 8 of them. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. 5 of them at the park. 5 cameras at the park, which I think is overkill. There's some things he's looking at that we don't need to look at. But I think we can get away with 4 at the park. So if we went with 8 cameras, he's given me the prices for the cameras, for the licensing for the cameras, because they're stored in the cloud. And then he's also given me a special section on installation. And after looking at these, I participated in building the camera system in another community that I used to work in. I can install these cameras. I have one in my office right now that is working. And there's just a couple areas that I won't be able to install them in, such as the park, because there's a little bit more involved with installing them there. But I think most of the other places, the chief and I have agreed that we could do a lot of that labor to save some money. So out of the 10 cameras that he's quoted me, he's given me a quote for $17,000, which includes the 3-year subscription for the licensing for the cloud for each camera. Which that would be something that we would look at every time it comes up. The first contract's for 3 years, and then we could do an annual or a 3-year or a 5-year as we go. The cameras are not that, I mean, I don't think they're that expensive, but for 10 of them, $17,000, that's complete, installed. All we have to do is turn it on. I think the chief and I can cut that price down considerably, but I know we need to have some more conversation about this. I just wanted to tell you guys about it, get you thinking about it, and looking at some ways to do that. I think it's a good thing. Police are very happy that something like that would come, especially at the park, something that would work. You can hit these cameras with a baseball bat, and they still work. You literally have to knock it off the pole or whatever it's mounted to ruin it.
And the minute those get tampered with, they send notifications to anyone who's involved with it. So if someone's tampering with a camera, they'll let us know, as well as there is a 10-year warranty on each one of those cameras.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yep, that's good. So just to make you guys aware of that. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. We'll get a quote for you and Chief Guy could check out the eight cameras.
You want me to re-quote it for 8 cameras?
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
said that's all we need, right? Then they'll give us a better idea of what we're looking at.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Jim, I appreciate it. Solicitor Babbitt, you got it.
So, 3 topics, autos, or auto titles, autos, annex, and solar are 3 topics. On the auto titles, I don't have anything to report, it is out of my hands, it's being reviewed. When I get an answer, I will pass that along immediately to council. And otherwise, annexation, I did submit a draft of everything to the prosecutor's office, who was gracious enough to take a look at it, and although they don't approve it, the commissioners do, they review it for the commissioners, and I got the all clear there indicating everything looks good, but I do need the full-size original to submit for signatures, so that will be sent over to the commissioners. And then last but certainly not least is the ongoing saga with Solar Planet. We had a further conversation with AMP and Solar Planet last week. I wouldn't say there's really progress being made. It sounds like progress each time we have a conversation, but in terms of material progress, you don't really see anything moving. So continuing to move forward with it in terms of conversations, and I did send an email to them after our meeting, just asking for some solid plans on how we're going to approach resolving the global issues that exist. So there's a couple more details there. If anybody has specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Did they reply to you?
No.
But they don't ever reply to AMP either. That's what sort of got me, was that they don't reply to AMP, but AMP thinks they're gonna reply to you.
Yeah, well,
Which, I mean, you know, I understand, you have to try.
and I think I quoted The Godfather during our last conversation, which is just when you think you're out, they keep dragging you right back in.
Yeah.
Honestly, at some point, we'll have to have a conversation about declaring them to be in performance default under the contract and giving them 15 days notice to cure, which can be enlarged to 40 days. I mean, we want to do everything, giving every opportunity before you declare default, because then you go into the default mechanism under the contract. And there's some other details relative to the contract, but it's been 6 days since I sent that email, so by the end of this week, it may be time to have a conversation about what our next steps are, because we're facing a situation and pressure from AMP acting on behalf of First Energy that we're gonna have to do something in the near term, so. Continuing the conversation, I can't say that it's been fruitful though.
No, but that made some good points. Is that all, Stephen?
That is all I have, thank you.
I did miss, we have, okay, Mr. Bedlack, I talked to him the day after our last council meeting. He said he's busy right now, he'll get to that contract whenever he has a chance. We got scheduled a utility meeting probably this week, gentlemen. It'll be Mr. Balzer, Mr. Porter, Mr. Hart. So whatever night would be good, and you're the boss.
But we want the village administrator to be able to participate also.
Absolutely.
Thursday at 6 would work for us if that's agreeable with you.
Thursday at 6. All right. Yeah. All right, thank you. And also the American League Publishing, we talked about that, Debbie talked about it last council meeting, where we could have one book and then everything else would be in the cloud, right, Deb? Or you could pick it up on your computer?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, unlimited access.
Unlimited access, and it's actually gonna cost us probably less than what it does for all these books that we get. Would you like her to proceed that way?
I did have a question about that. I noted on there that there was the possibility of a USB format for that. Is that dependent on us getting a paper copy, or can the USB be the only source?
Well, I think that's all.
I think we have to get at least
One
one
paper
hard
copy.
copy.
Okay.
I think the statute says you have to have a hard copy somewhere
Yeah.
here in the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
They always get you, sure.
$75 for a USB drive.
That'd be great.
Yes. Yeah, versus, how much is that book again?
For a paperweight.
Yeah. Right, right. And then the other way, okay, so,
The other way, we have all these books laying around,
right,
and which you guys would have to come down, read the book, whatever.
right, but the way we're talking about doing it, we would actually have access to it on our computer
Computers, yeah.
at home,
Yeah, if
essentially
you
for
wanna
us.
look something up, you just fly through it.
Right, I like that.
Okay.
So if you'd like to have her do that, you can make a motion to have her do that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that, for the, yeah.
For purchasing one hard copy and the cloud access. And I'll second that.
I like that you finish my sentences, it's great, I appreciate it so much. We should, I won't tell you what.
Walter,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Thank you, guys, sorry about that. Okay, is there anything else to come before council?
I have something just briefly, if it's okay.
Yeah.
We are getting ready for the National Day of Prayer,
Mhm.
May 5th, 6 o'clock at the Pavilion. And one thing we do is, we have a special prayer over the local government, the security forces. We have special prayers over all of those, and we have the council that would like to attend. It's 6 o'clock, and it takes about a half hour for the entire program, so it's not like a big, long thing. But we do like to have, it's a pastor that prays over the government and the safety people, so, we appreciate anybody that could come. There is no food. You can still come, Frank.
It's only a half
But
hour.
there will be no food here.
I wanted to ask about the videotaping of council meetings and committee meetings. I know that most of the meetings have been recorded and available online, but recently we had a meeting that was not. I don't know who's responsible for doing that, and I'm not trying to create an issue with that, but I think it would be in the best interest of what we're doing here if all of our committee meetings and council meetings were recorded and online. Does the council, or do we have the hardware necessary to do that? And who's ultimately responsible for making sure that is completed with every meeting?
Well, the only one that does is John.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that system right there, that is all owned by me.
It's not owned by you, I
Well,
bought it.
whatever, it's a detail. I'm trying to make this go quick, so, but, so it's all owned by me, we don't get paid for anything or anything like that, it's all essentially out of the goodness of my heart that I do it. So, if you guys would wanna do that, I mean, I can't be, I do have other responsibilities, so I may not be able to get the thing posted immediately or anything like that, but that's.
We can get the council meetings.
I can get every council meeting and every council, like special council meeting, I can guarantee you those. As far as committee meetings, that's gonna be a completely different thing, cause that's gonna be a lot on top of what I already have in personal life. So, I mean, if somebody else wants to take that on, by all means, but you're gonna have to, have other equipment for that when it's necessary, so.
So then maybe, since the only thing we can assure is that all the council meetings are recorded, then can we establish the standard that that's what we're gonna do, is record all of the council meetings and all the committee meetings, we're not going to record?
I don't really see a reason to record the committee meetings.
Okay, I'm just asking, I know some of the things have been recorded, some of them haven't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some kind of standardized
Yeah.
program for how this is accomplished, so that I know who's responsible for it and how it's gonna be done.
I think that having, at the bare minimum, the council meetings, and like I said, the special meetings like we had last week.
Yeah.
That one last week, I didn't know how we were doing, that's the first one that I have been to, so, that we've had essentially, so I didn't know exactly how we were doing that one. Going forward, when we have those, that is going to be, the camera will be here and it will be on and all that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but essentially, right now, it's just been,
Right.
if I'm here, or if Mayor Hartman's here, the camera's here. So as long as one of us is here, it's being recorded.
They did bring up, we can always audio tape it too, at least they'll be able to come down and listen to it if they want to, you know. That way, they'll at least do that, so. That's one thing that we are ahead of Brewster and Navarre on that, because I don't think they videotape theirs, do they?
As far as I know, they do not. So,
No one for us. All right, anything else?
I just want an update on the ordinance for the Falcon Ball Association. Do I need to make a motion to have that done? or-
No, I thought we had to wait for the contract from BidLab.
Oh, I think those are separate. The contract from Bidlack is regarding their property that they own in Griffith Park. The Falcon Ball Association is for all ball fields throughout each city, village owned or not.
But I thought and I could be wrong about this, I thought what we were trying to do was grant an interest in property. It's like a rental or ability to use it. It is some interest in real estate, but we're not clear because we don't own the real estate what our interest is in it. Is that,
That's what I look at.
the
That's why I
school
thought-
owns it,
Yeah,
right,
school.
and we maintain it, but we don't know where we would derive the authority to grant somebody else.
or if we.
That's why I don't understand why the
Authority, right?
school.
So I thought
doesn't-
the school was
School
going
should
to be
have something to do
submitting a
with that.
contract we would enter into that would give us
No,
the,
they're completely separate.
Well, why do they want
Who
one now?
owns it?
They've never had this before.
who owns the property?
We don't.
It's for,
The school.
So if the school owns it,
so
how do we?
for Mr. Bidlack, who's the superintendent of Fairless Schools, and his contract is gonna be regarding the two fields, which are in the park, because that's a Fairless owned property where the fields are.
Yep.
So it's a maintenance agreement for that. The Falcon Ball Association is separate from Fairless,
That's a first thing.
and they're just on a completely different topic, asking for the Falcon Ball Association, which is not associated with Fairless Schools.
We don't own the real estate, correct?
Well, down here is the one, because they offered in Field 3.
If we own the real estate, then we can
It
control
would be
who's.
these
under
ones down
lease.
here that we do.
Yeah, we can control. If we don't own it, then we need to define how where we derive our right to grant somebody else the ability to use the property.
Do we own, we don't
No,
own the
that
baseball
belongs
fields, do we?
to
Or do
Muskingum
Muskingum
Watershed.
Watershed.
Down at the bottom, we don't own those.
Well, there's 3 of them down there. There's only
Right.
one, I think, that's in question.
But that's the Muskingum Watershed that owns all those. They own all that property down
So technically Beats, the
there.
village
They
of
lease
Beach City
it to us
doesn't
for
own.
$1 a year from what Mr. Bailey told me.
We lease it?
I don't know.
For $1
GIF,
from
we own
Mr.
a lot of land on it.
From Mr. Bailey told me.
This is the Falcon Ball's formal statement that they put out to the public after attending our meeting. And it includes some literature in there on what they did with Brewster and Navarre too.
Well, I don't understand why they didn't do it with us then if they
Well,
wanted.
that's what he came here to ask. That's what he was.
But you didn't give us any paperwork or anything, how he wants it
I
written up?
printed out all of the email communications that had a copy of the
I do,
Brewster,
yeah.
okay. It was a copy of the Brewster's ordinance that's already in place, and Navarre went from a proclamation to an ordinance, I believe, and so theirs wasn't ready yet.
I don't understand why they're doing this though.
Well, they put out a formal statement because there was so much, like, confusion.
Maybe I don't remember. The legal blind stated that we need a copy of the team's liability insurance. The coach refused, stating that insurance of his team was none of the league's business. The league told the coach there was an available field in Beach City. The coach refused to use the field in Beach City, requesting Navarre Brewster. I don't remember.
This was the president of the Ball Association that attended our last council
Yeah,
meeting.
but
I don't remember.
This statement just came out as a formal statement.
This one?
Yeah, just to help clarify all the communication, like confusion, that's what I
And so he refused to use the field in Beach City,
did.
requesting
But
Navarre.
now, at the end of the statement, it says that he's brought forth the insurance and he may actually end up down there at some point.
we own the properties and we can do with it as we please. We could give them the ability to use it. I see him mentioning liability insurance. He got a copy of that to you for declarations.
I don't have any other information than what I initially sent to you, and then he attended our meeting to discuss it with everyone. I haven't spoken with him.
And I think that was the only question that I had is, if they had insurance. He said that they did. My last note was, we do not own the land and do not have authority to determine priority of lease rentals. We maintain it, however. They will provide proof of insurance. And they have two parcel numbers, neither of which we own, 6980019. So, I mean, I can draft an ordinance, but we can't grant interest in property if we don't own it, or we don't have a contract that would give us that right. So,
I think at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, that whoever owns that property we need to make a contract with them that gives the Village of Beach City the power to determine, no?
Don't go that way.
Well, okay.
Just have the ball association talk to the people who own that land.
Okay.
And cut us out of it. Ain't got nothing to do with us. If we don't own it, why go through us?
Didn't we put a fence down there?
Who owns the
Quite a
ones
few-
Our
at the
fence is
bottom?
down there, yep. Sure did.
Yeah, it's the Beach City combined.
I don't know.
So put a fence on the property we don't own.
we own the,
Well,
we
we own
own,
property, we don't own it.
right, we own the outfield.
I do that too, but I'm certainly not gonna.
So like there's the outfield.
Yes.
We own the outfield.
Well,
Mowing it
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
The village is mowing it, the village is putting.
Right. Well, it's what the watershed, whatever the watershed that is.
So we're assuming ownership by maintaining.
Watershed conservation
This one?
district, I think is where it's the official title.
Okay.
This,
Yeah.
it doesn't show any information.
There was a lot of things like that,
Is it?
mode.
That's what I found.
I've seen US government, it shows US government.
That one's saying, the.
Well, absolutely, I completely agree.
We own the outfield for sure. So they better be heavy swingers when they get out there, 'cause,
Are we assuming ownership by maintaining it for the past 30 years?
I mean, that's a separate.
Well, I would love to do that because then I'd be going right to bid lab.
Believe it or not, it's a law.
Okay, so it's called adverse possession.
It is a law.
Actual continuous hostile exclusive open and notorious possession for
But you have
plenty
to
years. But it doesn't
read it
apply,
unknowingly.
it typically doesn't apply to governmental entities.
Right.
The government cannot lose property by virtue of adverse possession. So I don't think that
It doesn't apply here, but it is a law.
it is a common law, yes. But we own the outfields, and otherwise, by virtue of maintaining it, the bigger question then is, what liability do we take on by maintaining it, when we don't even know what our rights are to it? I mean, they could tell us we're not allowed to use it. I don't know.
The goal of the Falcon Bowl Association was just to make sure our children in our communities have priority over the fields instead of outside, teams or communities. That was all.
Have they had an issue with priority?
It is, yes, it's that's why this came about.
Down here they did?
It's listed in there, in that form right there, that's the issue, they clarified what it was and why they're doing what they're doing.
Because I don't know what, therein is the issue, is if two people, if somebody's there in the middle of the game, it's bottom of the seventh, tie game, and Falcon Baseball shows up and says, we're here, and this is a local group of kids from the neighborhood that are down there playing, their parents call and say, how do you kick us out of our game, and then they get to go in? We don't have an agreement that we can say, no, we entered into agreement with Falcon Baseball, and we have to honor that agreement. Because we don't own the property, so it's kind of first come, first served, it looks like. And I don't know, I saw the ordinance for the other village, I think it was Brewster. But my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that they have an agreement in place with the owner. The school.
It's what he said at the last meeting, and you can go back and just verify, but Brewster and Var both have the same mix of fields owned by Fairless and owned by Village situation. So whether it's owned by the Village or owned by, it didn't matter.
But I thought they had a formal agreement with the school.
Oh, they,
And that's-
yes, correct.
And that's the piece that we're missing,
Okay.
is formal agreement with the
Gotcha.
owner that would give us the right to determine priority.
So unless Mr. Vidlac comes through with his, we can't go through with that, without the ball.
For this one, I don't see who owns it. Jim may be right, it could be the US government, in which case, we're never gonna get that contract.
Yes, not.
Yeah, that's a long stretch of,
Oh, it's right along the river, right.
I'll bet Jim's right. But they're not going to enter into, I mean, but yeah, that's our issue. They have formal agreements that dictate what rights they have to the property that they can then turn around and determine other people's right. We don't have that.
With two of the fields. So the question is the ones at the bottoms.
But we don't know who owns.
We don't know who owns those, technically.
It's not us.
You know?
I'd say Muskingum Watershed, but I haven't contacted them there, so I do have contact information with the GIS.
Yeah, and I have it here. So we're all talking, and I know this is.
So that's Beach City.
So Beach City owns right here, and quite literally, the outfield, this field and this field. And then the parcel where it's actually situated is here, and it doesn't show any ownership interest.
That area down there is really difficult. We have issues with four-wheelers and dirt bikes down there, and 1 minute they're on our land, the next minute they're off. That whole area is really hard to understand with the maps.
As far as some of the village parts.
The village parcel?
Goes
So-
all the way out. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could, I mean, I don't know what.
It's almost a whole lot.
I think you'd almost have to find out who owns that land.
I just don't wanna see a fight down there between coaches.
I've never seen anything like that down there ever.
There's
Well,
never been an
Never
issue
been
before.
an issue, because there's never been a pickup game in this town since I've been here.
There has been an issue in Brewster, I
Storm
think,
can run
and
right down that.
he said
side.
that it had brought it to this.
Next to the lane.
I'm saying, well, you have to find out who owns that piece of land, because the ball fields you're talking about, there's nothing there, and I'm almost sure.
Well, I guess, I know we need that
So
detail.
that's, okay, so this here, we own. We own this one here. But this piece here, which has the ball field,
And the road.
and the roadway, and it comes all the way up back here behind the bridge, okay? All of that, there is no information. There's not even a,
The railroad was one of the others prior to that too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah, there's no, it states that there's no data available. Last updated was 4/18/22, which is today.
But, yeah, I mean, I can draft whatever council desires.
Are we able to make a contact with Brewster to just see how they want about this?
Oh, yeah.
My understanding is that it's an entirely different issue. Brewster knows who owns the property. If I'm understanding correctly, none of us have any problems with granting the kids the right to play ball. But we don't have the right to make that determination for land we don't own. And the land that we're referring to with these
Yeah.
fields is not Beach City property, so we don't have any rights to say yes or no.
Mr. Bailey, what do you have?
47 years ago when I started on council, I was told then that we had a 99-year lease on all that ground down there, from the core. You are going down to the meeting, we have never found the piece of paper that gave us the lease on it. So you might be able to ask them while you're down there.
Yep, we'll do that.
But you can't charge you know, when they come up with a certain amount of money, you can't charge because it was supposedly
Oh,
done
we're
that
not
way.
gonna charge any money, it's just giving the kids away.
Yeah.
But we had the excess, it's just like the road. We can't do nothing to the road without asking them,
Right.
because they gave us the lease, and that's the way it was supposed to be.
All right, we'll check that out for anything.
Just information, who built the fields?
I have no idea
It
what.
Because
doesn't
they've
even-
been here
it
since
doesn't
I was
even
kids,
state
I don't
that.
really know.
Yeah, there's no information, so
We just don't know how much there. Franny, you
They're
know,
there.
you don't know how they built the fields?
No interest is given unless.
Do what now?
Do you
Built the
know how they
fields.
built the fields?
Yes, Harry Slavin built all them fields.
Harry
He's
Slavin.
our street man, he was
Okay.
our marshal. He built everything down there. We used to have bleachers and everything else on the side of the hill. They had dugouts and everything else at one time.
Wow.
He built it all.
No, what? He's like, we're building the kids some ballparks. He's like, I don't know.
I don't remember.
You gotta remember too, kids in this village, I've never seen them play. All the ball fields we have, I've never seen a pickup game.
I
ever.
don't think it was between just children, it was a coach.
Okay, I've never
The
seen.
problem.
But-
Adults were fighting.
yeah.
Just have them call the cops. And Roll that.
Well, I think that's it, is they can't call the cops if there's no ordinance. They won't be able to do anything to help them, that's
They can
why.
fight it out like men.
Well, I think at this
Back in the
point, we
day.
need to get FedLAC involved.
Oh, yeah, well, he doesn't have anything to do with it though, down there.
No, but up
Everyone else-
here,
Oh, up here,
he
yeah.
does, and we can at least start to get something moving
Yeah.
on this up here at the very least.
And the teams in question were 10U, and that's what plays up there. So it wasn't those fields, but it was those age of kids.
Yeah, well, maybe they just get another coach too, if they're having a problem with this guy, if he's that big of a problem.
It's the elementary school gym teacher, it's not French gym teacher.
So just tell him to knock it off. You know, I mean, you know, the Fairless League probably, if he's that big of a problem, that would be up to them to tell him that he's no longer coaching. And then the problem goes away.
Well, he's not a part of alcohol, he's a part of a different,
Oh,
Okay.
well, I don't think
yeah,
it's
they're
coming
not,
down
his,
Yeah.
that's why they're, yeah.
there. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Well. Yeah, well, as soon as Mr. Bidlack gets back to me on that, I'll let you guys know. Anything else? Okay, guys, we are